Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to TWG, TBOG's Wellness Garden. And today I'm doing something a little different. When I convened TWG, it was with the idea, when I convened TWG, it was with the idea that a group of young women can come together, hold each other accountable, grow together in all dimensions of wellness, physical, social, spiritual, intellectual, environmental, emotional, financial, occupational, all of the dimensions of wellness. But there has been a demand to include the males. And so this month we were to treat the physical dimension of wellness, and I decided to make it open, hence this webinar. And so today I'll be talking on the science, sources, triggers, and impact of stress. But before I continue, let me introduce who TBOG is to you. TBOG, well, my name is Temitope Omoakalen, fondly called TBOG, and I'm a workplace and family wellness consultant. I'm also currently a fellow of the Latif Jakonde Leadership Academy, a type of the Mandela Washington Fellowship, just Nigeria based. I'm the co-founder of T-Sage and TBOG Consults, a wellness company. I'm also a co-founder of Remake Africa Consulting and a co-convener of the Imagine Nigeria 2050 initiative. I am a physiologist. My first and second degree was in human physiology from the University of Lagos, Nigeria. And I have certifications in developmental psychology, social psychology from the University of Queensland, Australia. I also have certifications in emotions management from the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence, USA. And I'm an alumna of the Cherub Life Foundation for Women. I'm also an alumna for Yale Young Entrepreneurs Leadership Program, organized by the Said Business School, Oxford. There are 4 major learning objectives for today's class. Permit me to call it a class. The first is all participants will be introduced to the dimensions of wellness and its impact on day-to-day life. Participants will be introduced to the science of stress. Participants will also be introduced to the sources of stress. And finally, participants will be equipped with tools to manage stress. So let's begin with the dimensions of wellness. We'll begin first with the emotional dimension of wellness. I always like starting with that because it's sort of like the thread that binds all of the dimensions of wellness together. Emotional wellness is your ability to cope effectively with life and create satisfying relationships. So we're asking questions like, how emotionally intelligent are you? How emotionally safe are you? How emotionally well are you? How resilient are you? Because resilience is actually a function of your emotional wellness. The less resilient you are, the less emotionally well you will be. The second is social wellness, and we are checking how well you're developing your sense of connection, your sense of belonging, how well developed your support system is. And this is very crucial because you cannot do life alone. And social wellness is not necessarily about romantic relationships, even friendships, familial relationships. All of those things are important because in life, you need a support system to take you through. Whatever you're going to do, you need a support system. Without a well-developed support system, when life happens, as it always will, you'll have no one to fall back on. I mean, it is true that as human beings, we will grow our sense of our emotional stature or our resilient stature to a place where we feel like, okay, it doesn't matter what life throws at me, I can handle it. But there are seasons in life where your strength alone cannot take you. You need external help, right? So in those moments, if you don't have people you can fall back on, it's going to cause a serious problem with you. The third was intellectual wellness. And here we're just checking your creative abilities, we're checking finding ways to expand, we're checking how well you found ways to expand your knowledge and skills. And intellectual wellness, it's a crucial component of the wellness cycle. And it's important because, like the wise sage said, when you stop growing mentally, you start dying. When you stop learning, you start dying. And it's very true because biologically now, a time comes in your life where if you have not trained yourself to consistently learn, to consistently seek out new ways of expanding your knowledge, a time will come that the brain cells will begin to die because it's just the law of use and disuse. When you don't use a thing, it begins to wither away. That's basically what's going to happen. And that's why you find out that some people in their old age, it seems as though they are regressing. And you also see some others that they have very quick wit, very quick mind, sharp mind and all. It's because they have consistently trained their minds, their brain to continually function. And so that's the power of intellectual wellness. You have to recognize your creative abilities. You have to find ways to expand your knowledge and your skills. Crucial. Physical wellness. Well, here you are looking at how well do you sleep? How well do you rest? How well do you eat? How healthy is your meal? Physical activity, especially now that we live in a very sedentary world. Everything we do can be done on the phone and on the laptop. So there's really no major need to move around, to get to meet with people. When you leave your house, you're living in your car, you get to the office, you just take the elevator, not the stairs. So basically everything you need to do has been so designed to just keep you sedentary. So physical wellness is showing you or helping you recognize that there's the need to move. Physical activity is very, very crucial. Someone like me that a lot of times my job requires me to stay in front of my laptop and do a lot of things. I have some alarms scheduled. Maybe after an hour, I'm to stand up, just stretch my leg, move around. And it's important because aside from the obvious health implications, like person can become sedentary lifestyle, diabetes, hypertension, those are the things that are usually linked to sedentary lifestyle. But there are things that are also unspoken of, like DVT, deep vein thrombosis, where because you're consistently in a position, say a clot dislodges, there are lots of complications that can happen from just sitting in one spot, right? So it's crucial that if your work is the type that does not require you on the field, that requires you to be on your laptop or in a stable position for a very long time, you have to be very deliberate about moving around. You have to be deliberate as well about your diet. It's very important that you are able to curate healthy meals, right? Nobody's saying don't eat shawarma or don't eat pizza, though. Yeah, not as healthy, but one can eat them, but be measured, right? Be measured. You're not supposed to eat such things on a daily basis. You can make it once in a while treat. You can totally avoid it, Just be very deliberate about curating healthy meals. And sleep. We live in a world where it's a hustle world, like some of my people would say, right? And so you hear words like sleep is for the weak, or how can I be sleeping when I've not made so and so millions, But Sleep is your body's way of resetting. You know how when we use our gadgets, let's take a laptop, for example. You don't shut down your laptop. You always put your laptop on sleep or on hibernate for weeks on ending. A time will come that the laptop will either shut itself down, restart itself, or it will just hang and force you to do a force restart, right? If your laptop, your gadgets can force you to restart, can force you to make it want to sleep, right? How much more your body? Sleep is just your body's way of recalibrating after all of the stress, the hustle and bustle of the day, your ability to go back and just give your body that sense of, oh, okay, let's just gain strength for the next day. That ability to recharge. That's what sleep does. So sleep is not necessarily a luxury. A lot of times we see it as a luxury, but it's not. If you do not allow yourself sleep and find rest, your body will find it for you. And trust me, it will find it at a time that you don't want it to. The next dimension of wellness is spiritual wellness. A lot of times when I teach on spiritual wellness, it's very easy for people to just start thinking religion. Yeah, well, religion is a component of spiritual wellness. It's not all there is. Spiritual wellness is even way more about finding purpose, finding your meaning in life, irrespective of what you do. If you've not found purpose in what you do, trust me, your sense of fulfillment will be very, very minimal. You won't feel fulfilled. And when you don't feel fulfilled, it will tamper with other dimensions of wellness. And I'll just, when I'm done with listing the dimensions of wellness, I will show you in a bit how interconnected all of the dimensions of wellness are. When there's a breakdown in one dimension, it automatically affects all of the remaining dimensions. So when and I've handled cases where so there was this woman who was earning in seven figures back then, not now, back then. So you can imagine what it will be by now. She was earning in seven figures. Her husband was well-to-do, had a beautiful family, two children, but she wasn't fulfilled. I mean, that's like everybody's dream. If they're earning that much money, some people will not, some people will not work again. But she didn't find fulfillment in that because she wasn't seeing her children as much as she would want to. For her, her priority was family, but career had now taken that priority. So she wasn't finding her sense of purpose anymore. She wasn't finding her sense of meaning anymore. And so the money meant nothing. All of the perks of her job meant nothing. And she had to resign. In resigning, she's not earning anything close to what she was earning before, but she's happier, she's more relaxed, she's younger, she's less stressed. I mean, not everyone can take that bold decision, right? But there is power in finding fulfillment in what you do. When you find fulfillment in what you do, no matter how little it is, there's just that sense of drive you will consistently have. Occupational wellness, here we're checking your sense of personal satisfaction and the enrichment you derive from your work. How well are you satisfied with the work you do? People who are more family inclined, when they work in a place that is so demanding and there's a work-life imbalance going on, you find them way less happy to go to work, or people who work in toxic work environments, you find out that they are not happy to go to work. So we also check the organizational cultures of companies, how psychologically safe is the space. Um, then we have environmental wellness. Environmental wellness, we're checking good health by occupying pleasant, stimulating environments that support well-being. I mean, I'm sure you've been to some organizations where when you walk in, it doesn't matter how stressed you were before coming in, but when you walk in, you're just at peace. There's just this, and it's because of the way the environment was curated. Some people curate their environment in such a way that they want it to give a particular experience to its user. So you walk into an organization and the smell will just trigger a memory of rest. Some you walk into a space, it triggers a memory of, oh, I need to work, and the environment can be so curated in ways to help one find wellness. And that's why I find that some people, when they go on vacation, you see them, they're looking for nature. They're looking for natural spaces, places where they can be in tune with Mother Nature, because they understand how powerful the environment is in curating wellness. And then, of course, there's the financial wellness. How satisfied are you with your current and future financial situations? And this is also key because many, many, many times, let me share this joke. I remember my 100 level. I just moved into school then, College of Medicine, and my parents had given me money for the month, but as a jambite, that's what we're called first year students. I didn't realize that you're going to pay money for docket, you're going to buy textbooks, you're going to buy this and buy that and buy that. And so I'd collected my money for the month. So I spent everything doing all of those registrations. And I was someone then that did not like to always call home to ask for money. As I had existed the money, it was just the second week of the month. And it was a month that had, there are some months in the year that feel like January, where you have like 20 weeks in one month. So it was like that. And 2 weeks in, I was already broke. I mean, I began to have headaches, sleepless nights. I didn't link it to the fact that I was broke. And then one day I got a credit alert, a very huge amount, twice my pocket money for the month. That night, I slept well. I slept like a baby. When I woke up, I knew I rested. Fast forward many years now that I'm in the psychology space and physiology space, I realized that, oh, that was financial unwellness that had ultimately affected my physical wellness, affected my emotional wellness. Do you understand? So the dimensions of wellness are so intertwined that when there's a breakdown in one, it can affect another place. Have you seen some people who are sitting down, they tell you, oh, I'm not feeling fine, I have a headache. Then they get a credit alert and suddenly they're bubbly. The headache has disappeared. That's how intertwined things are. Have you seen people who will experience a heartbreak? That's a breakdown in the emotional wellness dimension. And then all of a sudden, they're having health issues. Then they can't cope again in school. They are failing. You can see how a breakdown in emotional wellness affected the physical, affected the intellectual, and then you find out they are withdrawing, which is a breakdown in the social dimension. You find out that they don't find meaning in life anymore. That's going to spiritual wellness. You see, they are all intertwined, and that's why when we are treating wellness, we don't just pick one dimension. Every time an organization has to go out to talk and train on the dimensions of wellness, it's always a holistic package because we understand that it doesn't matter how fine you are in one. If a breakdown should happen in another place, it's still eventually going to affect the one you already think you're doing well. And so that brings us to the next part of this conversation, the science of stress. I want to ask you a very simple question. Picture one shows a traffic situation. This was long before this part of the road was constructed. When you see that vehicle, blessed, here, you realize this is a very, very old picture, right? Lagos is not as bad as this anymore. A lot of improvements have happened. But if you have ever experienced this kind of traffic situation, back in the day, I want you to look at it. Picture two is showing the death of a loved one. I want you to imagine this. Even if you've not experienced anyone, just imagine someone who has. And the third picture, snake in the closet. My simple question to you is this. Which of these three do you suppose is a stressful situation and why? I'm going to be looking in the comment section and I am also going to be chatting with you in the comment section. So I want to know which of these three you think is a stressful situation and why. Over to you. What do you think? Which of these three is stressful and why? Okay. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. A traffic situation. So while you are writing, let me just, Tiso, right. I want to see what you think. Why? So this traffic situation, let me even paint a very good picture for you. You've been looking for your house rent, say 2 million naira. You've gone up, down, left, right, and nothing is forthcoming. And then someone tells you that, come and meet me at Magburu by 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. I will give you the 2 million naira for house rent. I will give you 20 million naira proof of funds so you can travel to Canada to meet um my family there and just start life afresh. And so you are on your way to this person to go and collect the money, and you're in this traffic situation. So that's picture one. Picture two, I don't even need to describe it. The death of your loved one. This is something I've experienced. And then picture three, you are very pressed, seriously pressed. You've been on the road all day, nowhere to ease yourself, and then you rush home. You just lifted, the lid in the toilet and start urinating, and then you see the snake in the closet. These are the three situations. Which of these three do you suppose are stressful? Okay, I've seen different things. I've seen different things, but to be honest, all three are stressful situations. No, none is more stressful than the other. What really is stress? You will see the definition of stress in subsequent slides as we go forward. But a simple definition of stress, whatever will allow for the release of adrenaline and cortisol in your body, the body interprets it as stress. So now the body does not have the ability to differentiate between, okay, so the body, right? When the body is stressed, cortisol and adrenaline, they are both released. The body does not even have the ability to differentiate whether it's a physical threat or a mental, psychological, emotional threat. Threat is threat. So when the body interprets anything as threat, adrenaline is released, and so also is cortisol. Adrenaline is released to activate the fight or flight. Fight or flight. That's the sympathetic nervous system. But then there's also an element that sometimes in some people are released. That's for the parasympathetic. So rather than activating fight or flight, it activates freeze. The three F's: fight, flight, and freeze. Some things might happen to you where you're wondering, why did I not run? Or why did I not try to put up a fight? All I did was just freeze in one spot. And then you begin to blame yourself. There was a season where I handled a rape masterclass, on understanding rape, understanding why your body responded the way it did when you were raped, And in those sessions, you find females especially saying that they did not want to respond to the person raping them, but their body was responding, right? You find some saying that they wanted to fight. They were screaming in their head, leave me, but they could not say a word. It was like they just froze. All of those things, it's your nervous system fighting it out. So not much attention has been paid to the freeze dimension of response. We will always mostly just talk about fight or flight, but there's the freeze. Some people just literally freeze. They can't move. Everything is immobilized. And sometimes, yeah, it's a trauma response, but then it's what it is. So adrenaline is released. So for these three pictures, adrenaline is released, but so also is cortisol. Cortisol is called the stress hormone. Okay, all of these are just the medical pathway. It's released from the hypothalamus, through the CRH. It goes to the pituitary gland, to the acetylcholine hormone, to the adrenal gland, where cortisol is then released to the immune system, the hypothalamus then responds to the level of, so it's a cycle. Once cortisol is released, as long as the stimulus is there, that positive cycle just keeps going on. So it will keep stimulating. So more cortisol will continue being released until that threat is taken away. So back to that picture, in Lagos traffic, literally, even if you were sitting in a Uber in one very freezy, chilly AC, air-conditioned system, chances are you will even be sweating in it. Your heart rate will be so high. Pow, 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 pow. It's a stress response. It's still going on because you're agitated. Hey, am I going to lose this money? The death of a loved one, the same thing is going to happen. The weight of the loss or snake in the closet, all three still trigger the same pathway in the body, right? So really, what is stress? Stress is a fact of nature in which forces from the inside or outside affect the individual, either one's emotional or physical well-being, or both. And that's a definition by Medicine Net. Stress is the feeling of being overwhelmed or unable to cope with mental or emotional pressure. That's according to the Mental Health Foundation UK. Stress is a feeling of emotional or physical tension, and that's Medline Plus, Medical Encyclopedia. And the final one, stress is simply the brain's response to any demand. And that's National Institute of Mental Health. I would like you to take note of this very last one. Stress is simply the brain's response to any demand. And it's important to know that too, because sometimes when you're going, sometimes, so stress is simply the brain's response to any demand, according to the National Institute of Mental Health. And it's important to know that because if your child is about to get married and you go to Lagos Island to go and buy a shobi, that's a happy situation that's about to happen, but still a stressful situation because your body is responding to that demand. And you'll understand what I mean as we go on. What are the sources of stress? The first place is work. I mean, we are working more and more than we used to. We have moved from a place of physical work, then when we work in the farm, you're using your physical body. Now, every part of you is being used, not just your physical body, even your mental body. And what makes mental stress even more difficult is because you can't gauge it many times. You can't gauge how mentally stressed you are. It's when it begins to tell on your body, you begin to realize that, oh, I'm super, super stressed. Unlike when you go to work in the farm, if you work from morning till evening, your body's stressed. So you know that, oh, at the end of the farm work, I'm going to get a massage, then I'm going to sleep from 6 p.m., 6 a.m. so that I can go out again to the farm. So it's patterned, oh, I overworked today at the farm, so tomorrow I'll take it a little easy. But for mental stress, it's not that easily known. It's not that easily known because it has to do with a lot of mental and emotional grief. And so you can see this picture. This person has to respond to mails, has questions to answer, has an upline to attend to, has downlines to manage, just so much to do. It's just like, I can't take this anymore. Work. Money. Debt is a major, major, major source of stress. The economy now is not in a very good place for many nations of the world. It's not just a Nigeria problem. And so a lot of people are becoming burdened by insufficient funds compared to their needs, not even wants. And then there's the health dimension of stress, where the person, when one is sick, the flu, this period now, I think there's been a lot of flu going on around. That's still a source of stress. Oh, there's relationship. It could be friendship, it could be spousal, romantic relationships, it could be parental, it could be family, whatever form. Relationships are also sources of stress, especially when not managed. Before I continue, let me just say this, that communication is the lifeblood of any relationship. And for any relationship to thrive, no matter the kind of relationship, as long as you call it a relationship, for that relationship to thrive, it requires communication. So if you've not mastered the art of effective communication, chances are whatever relationship you're in will give you stress. And so the question now is, what are your own stress triggers? Do you know what your stress triggers are? For me, I know that when I'm overworked, one of the ways it will play out, aside my health, is in my relationship. I find out I become cranky or snappy about things. When I realize that, I take a breather. So I don't allow an unwellness in one dimension of my life to affect the beautiful thing going on in other dimensions of my life. So as a person, as an individual, you need to know what are your triggers, what triggers you. Some women say that when they're on their period, they're very cranky, they're very irritable, moody and all. If you know that being on your period is an irritable time for you, there's no big deal in telling your relationships now, because you're in multiple relationships, depending on how close. Even acquaintances is a kind of relationship, but you may not necessarily tell those one, but people in your corner, people in your space that you feel that you may hurt by your bad behavior, it's okay to tell them, oh, this period I'm on my this period on my period, and so if you find me being irritable, please just call me to order. It's not intentional. I'm sorry. And so you apologize in advance for that. Yeah. I should also mention period is not an excuse for you to just put up bad behavior. I understand that it's pain. There's a way pain makes you cranky. I understand that perfectly. But in spite of your ability to be cranky in the midst of your pain, you should also realize that you must treat people the way you want to be treated. And so if you know you will not like to be treated the way you're treating people while you're cranky, try not to treat people that way too. It's a way to help you. So know your stress triggers. For some other persons, it's food. If they've not eaten, say they missed breakfast, they'll be cranky. So if you know that when I miss breakfast, I'll be cranky, why not eat breakfast to avoid being cranky? And if it's a must, maybe for medical reasons, spiritual reasons, or whatever reason, you choose to skip breakfast. You already know that, oh, my choosing to skip breakfast already predisposes me to becoming cranky. What do I do different? If you will avoid people for the duration of your crankiness, kindly avoid. You can just put out a memo if it's a workspace or if it's friendship. Oh, sorry, I'll be unreachable within this period, blah, blah, blah. But know your triggers so that you can manage it well. What stresses you out? Know it so you can manage it well, right? Know it, because when you are stressed, sometimes you find out that you become somebody you're not really, right? So know your triggers, crucial. And so what are the impacts of stress on day-to-day life? A very question was, what do you feel? I hope you can see the video. What do you feel?
We're close enough. Stop here. Jax, DJ, you gotta get that thing in the water.
Yeah, we're on it.
Okay, so question. What did you feel while watching this video? Can you all place your hand on your chest? Can you place your hand on your chest? Can you feel an increase in your heart rate? Bam. Adrenaline and cortisol have just been released. Stress is the body's response to any demand. And so, acute stress, the types of stress. Acute stress is the most common form of stress. It comes from demands and pressures of the recent past and anticipated demands and pressures of the near future. So, acute stress can actually be thrilling and exciting in small doses. So when we watch movies like that, that's acute stress. Pew, you know, when your child is getting married and you go to a co-market to shop for Ashwebi, that's acute stress. When an employee is asked to do 9 hours worth of work in just 3 hours because of a deliverable, that's acute stress. It's supposed to be a one-off palm, that just happens. And then when the trigger is removed, the body returns to equilibrium. But then there's episodic acute stress. Now, episodic acute stress, like I said the first time, acute stress is supposed to be a one-off. But episodic acute stress is consistent one-offs, right? So recall acute stress is you're forced to collapse time. You're to do a 9 hour worth of work deliverable in just 3 hours. But when you have an unusually demanding job that requires you to consistently do that, so that's episodic acute stress. It's continuous, something that's supposed to have a stop button. There's no more stop. It's just periodic pauses here and there, but it's perpetual, right? Whereas severe acute stress is a one-time acute stress, but it's potent to cause PTSD. So if you recall that picture, the death of a loved one, that's a severe acute stress. Acute stress is one-off. And acute stress can actually be something thrilling. When you go on this spin ride and you're at the very top, you're screaming, it's exhilarating. That's acute stress. It's a one-off. When you come down from that, the body will start calming down to return to equilibrium. But severe acute stress is still a one-off event, but it is potent enough to cause PTSD. The death of a loved one is a severe acute stress. Rape is a severe acute stress. Robbery is a severe acute stress. Those things, it's one-off acute stress, but it is so severe that its output is PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. Whereas episodic acute stress it's a one-off stressful situation that is perpetual, is consistent. Something that's supposed to be one-off is now episodic continually. So that's the difference between the two. I just thought you should know that. And there's chronic stress, where a person is just perpetually in that state of miserable, state of despondency. You're not seeing an end in sight. You're not seeing hope. And so, for example, here, long-term poverty, repeated abuse in any form, unemployment, a dysfunctional family system, a toxic work environment, substance abuse, unhappy marriage. Those things cause chronic stress because it is unending. It's just like that. It's just going. And every time you project, unlike episodic acute stress, is that acute stress is one-off, but episodic is this one-off is happening repeatedly. So there are breathers in between, but it's happening repeatedly, episodic, right? Oh, I didn't even realize I put constant Owambe there. Yeah, constant Owambe. It's episodic acute stress. Every Saturday, it's episodic. You must be at a party, right? But chronic stress, there's no breather, no space for you to even say, let me catch my breath. It's not happening. It is perpetual. That is chronic stress. And the end result of that persistent feeling of stress is getting burnt out. It is always the end result. You get burnt out. And so, how do we ensure that we don't get burnt out? How do we ensure that we manage stress properly? That brings me to internal versus external stressors. It's important to know that there are some things that stress you internally. You can't pinpoint them. And there are some things that are external. You can, you know that, oh, this human being, every time I see this person has been associated with stress, right? So whenever you see the person coming, go and hide. That's external stressor. Or external stressors, things that just on the outside, they are stressing you out. But internal stressors many times is a function of the mind. And that's why resilience is a powerful skill to have because of stressors. Stressors you cannot touch, but originate from you. For example, you have an interview tomorrow and you are already all worked up today. That's an internal stressor. Nobody on the outside can particularly, in quote now, particularly help you because it's coming from within. But that's where your strong support system will come in to speak to you. Those words that carry life, those words that are soothing, those words are what will help you overcome internal stressors if you can't do it on your own. But external stressors, you are sleeping, somebody is blasting crazy music outside. External stressors, you can just say, hey, turn that thing off, I'm trying to sleep, and it's gone. Those are external. They are easier to manage than internal, but nothing is difficult to manage. So, sorry. Yep, good. And so, the 4 A's of stress, I believe this is something we all should know because it will help us know how to handle stress. These are the 4 A's to use in tackling stress. The first is avoid. It is possible to avoid stress. And to avoid stress, you have to create boundaries. You have to identify people that are actually stressors and avoid them, right? So some stressful situations or some stressors can be avoided. Stressors are anything that triggers stress. So we have internal stressors, external stressors. A lot of times, external stressors are the ones that are easy to avoid, right? So external stressors can be avoided by creating boundaries. And then when you identify people who are stressors, just basically avoid them. You can alter stress, and by altering stress, you do that by accepting yourself. You can change the situations that cause stress by expressing your feelings and managing time better. So in altering stress, sometimes time management helps, particularly when it comes to your job. How do I alter this stressful situation so that I'm not always perpetually in stress? So you alter it. Then there are some you cannot alter and you cannot avoid. You just accept the fact that this stress has come to stay, right? And so those ones that you cannot alter and you cannot avoid, you have to find a community to talk to. This is where your support systems come in. It is crucial. It's one of your power gear in dealing with stress. Accept, because you have to know situations that there's nothing you can do about them. It's outside of your sphere of influence. If you don't understand that there are some stressful situations that are like that, you keep trying to avoid and alter them to no avail. And because you are failing at it, you put yourself again in yet another stressful situation. And so it's crucial to know the stressors you can avoid, the stressors you can alter, and the stressors you just have to accept. But there's really nothing you can do about it as long as you're in that place. Hmm? And the final is to adapt. And by adaptation, you're looking at rather than continue to see the negatives of that stressful situation, just close your eye to the negative and just focus more on the positives, right? For this last two, accepting and adapting to stress, you need a support system to help you. It's not something you can do on your own. And that's something TWG hopes to do with all of its members. Okay, so how to adapt, right? coping mechanisms, how to adapt. There are three here I put. There's appraisal focused strategies where you attempt to modify your thought process. So you can basically alter the way you think about a problem by approaching it differently, altering the goals and values. So you're in a situation where your boss is always demanding, 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 and you realize that if you resign at that moment, it's going to put you in a financially bad place that will further compound the stress you feel. And so in adapting to that, rather than focus on the fact that your boss is not appreciative, you focus more on the fact that your boss is unintentionally grooming you to become resilient, irrespective of where you find yourself in. It will help you adapt to that stressful situation. So appraise yourself. The second is problem-focused strategies in adapting. And that one aims to deal with the cause of the problem, right? It helps you check what's the root cause. So people try to eliminate the source of stress by researching the problem and learning management skills to solve it. For this one now, you find out that you are always, work is killing you. You choke, like we say in our local parlance. Sometimes the problem might actually be a time management problem, but you don't know. You think it's your boss that's a bad person. When you do a problem-focused strategy in adapting to stress, you realize that, oh, I'm the one that have not mastered how to use my time properly. When this person gives me something to do because he's my friend, I say, okay, let me quickly help. And then you leave your most important work to help somebody do theirs. They meet their timelines. You don't. And so by doing a problem focused strategic thinking, you realize that the problem is time management. It's not really the work. And when you readjust, you find out that, oh, what was a stressful situation? It's not necessarily a stressful situation. And then the final one is emotions focused strategies, where you address the feelings associated with the stress. And people do this by modifying the emotions that accompany the stress by distracting or managing their mental state. And this one, basically, all that grammar, what it's saying is that in some stressful situation, you just need to change the way you feel about it. So rather than feel despondent about it, you may feel, oh, this is a challenge I'm willing to take. Let me see how well I can, master this, or let me see how well I can handle this, make it something exciting. So rather than looking at it as a mountain before you, look at it as a gymnastics that, oh, I need to learn how to, overcome this. Let me say, okay, I might actually get a skill for this. And so you switch your emotions. So rather than your emotions bringing doom and all of that, it's bringing excitement instead. Same situation, different emotional approach. And then social support as a coping mechanism. I have to mention this because stress, you can't deal with stress on your own all of the time. Many of the times, yes, but not all of the time. Many times we need social support. And there are four major social supports I put here. We need emotional support. We need tangible support. So for tangible emotional support, as the name implies, for example, in the death of a loved one, there's really nothing anybody can say to anyone. You just need emotional support in that place. You just want them, you just want someone to, you just want to know that there's someone. Tangible support. You're in a situation, you're not looking for somebody to be emotionally there with you. You're looking for money to solve it out. You're looking for a network to plunge your business into the next level. Those are tangible support. There's informational support. So your social support still can bring in information. They may not be there emotionally for you. They may not have the tangible resources to help you, but they may have the information. Oh, I don't have the money to give you 2 million naira now, but I know how so and so got his own 2 million. Perhaps this will help. Information that will help you come out of that situation. And the last one is just companionship support. Some people just want to have a G, a G in your corner that, you're doing this together. This is my ride or die. Yeah. And then, okay, so that's the final slide. Thank you. I know there will be questions. Actually, I do expect that there will be questions. but I will not be answering questions right here, right now. What I will do instead is, because I run TWG, that's TBOG's Wellness Garden, and these are things we discuss and we talk about it on a more intimate level. We have our handkerchiefs where if you need to cry, you cry, but you must live with the solution and all. And so a lot of the questions I'm even seeing on the chat box will be discussed at that intimate level. But what I can do is that if you have questions, you can email me on TBOG, that's TBOG at tsage, that's TSAGEAND TBOG.com. I think I'll put it there. So tbog at tsageandtbog.com. You can email me and I will respond to your email. I respond to my emails personally, so it's not somebody helping me do that. I will respond to that personally. So I'll respond to that. And depending on the inflow of questions, if I need to do another video just to attend to those questions, I will do that. But it is my intention not to keep anyone longer than 1 hour, and we are close to hitting that mark. So I have to end this video right here and right now. Thank you for spending 1 hour with me. I am very grateful. My name remains Temitope Omar Halen, fondly called TBOG. I prefer to be called TBOG actually. Have a lovely night. Hey.